Thanks for tuning in. I'm Hali Palombo, and this is Unknown America, a show about figures and events and places and little pockets of time unique to America that often fall under the radar. Near the dawn of the 20th century, a man named Darius Hicks saw a business opportunity that was decidedly quite modern, swindling people on the basis of New Age healing. It was lucrative, to be sure, but the beginning of the end was marked by a sudden death that cast a pall over the whole thing, and would result in the beginning of a slow erosion and rebirth that took 80 years. This is the story of the ruined Illinois resort town, Vishnu Springs. In the late 1800s, a man called Ebenezer Hicks and his family moved from Ohio to McDonough County in Illinois. A wealthy man, he purchased many parcels of land in McDonough and Higher County, which eventually totaled 5,000 acres. He was aware that mineral springs existed on some of the parcels, but did not show much of an interest in it. However, a man named Dr. J.W. Aiken did. On that basis, Ebenezer Hicks rented the land to him, and Aiken began promoting the springs for their healing qualities. To understand this story, you will need a primer in a New Age healing movement that took place not in California in the 60s, but the Midwest in the late 1800s. Groups from all over the country in numbers as high as 1 to 2,000 came in droves, hoping to stave off the illness of the day by consuming a great deal of mineral water that flowed through the area's many streams. The people hoped to liberate themselves from the tragically early life expectancy, 38 to 41, that marred the country at the time. At some point in the 1880s, the area was coined by Dr. Aiken as Vishnu Springs, a relatively generic nod to the supposed healing nature of the waters. Another story of the origin of the name is that Ebenezer's son, Darius, an important character later, had read a book that described the discovery of the ancient preserved city of Angkor in Cambodia. The water of the city was fed by the river Krishna, which is the incarnation of Vishnu in the Hindu religion. There is no solid confirmation who named the place, Darius or Dr. Aiken, but either way, it was known as Vishnu Springs. No resort existed at this time. Dr. Aiken was more interested in selling the water. He marketed it as a solution to inflammation of the kidneys, as a cure-all to diseases specific to women, and a multitude of other ailments. He sold the water for 25 cents a gallon, but not nearly the amount that he would have liked. At this time, for reasons unconfirmed and undocumented, Aiken's association with the springs ended. It is documented that Ebenezer Hicks was committed to an insane asylum at some point during the 1880s, leaving Darius Hicks in charge of Aiken's parcels of land. Darius Hicks, inspired by the healing nature of the springs, saw potential. He decided to take the first steps in creating a permanent resort town there. It's up for debate whether Hicks was a true believer in the healing properties of the water, or simply one of many showmen eager to capitalize on anything remotely unusual at the dawn of the 20th century? I personally suspect the latter. Either way, he was met with success. He sold plots of land surrounding the stream for $30, roughly $1,000 today. In the middle of his resort town, he, among many other individuals, conceptualized and constructed a hotel named the Capitol Hotel. The hotel's construction notably attracted a holiness camp meeting of about 3,000 individuals from Higher Township. They came to not only witness the construction of the hotel, but to share in the experience of their religious beliefs and to try the water. It is believed that this may have kick-started the interest in the town, word of mouth by the members of that camp meeting, along with a variety of other interlopers. Reaching the town was difficult, so Hicks and two other proprietors, brothers John and Milton Morning, started the Vishnu transfer line. The line was accessed in nearby town Colchester. For 75 cents, a family could ride a spring wagon, meal included, through the woods to the town. If you paid $1, you could enjoy a more luxurious ride, a carriage or canopy-topped buckboard. For the day, the Capitol Hotel was lavish. It featured a blacksmith, a post office, a restaurant, and later, the surrounding grounds established a schoolhouse, a racetrack, a fishing pond, and parks. A photograph gallery was opened. The hotel built a grand organ, and musicians from Illinois were attracted to the hotel to perform for the residents. These concerts were met with great enthusiasm. Things ran neatly and were met with enthusiasm for many years. The variety of entertainment, along with the well-run facilities, were taken advantage of by those who could afford to do so. Such was the norm for a long time. But in 1903, a recently established carousel was functioning as expected, children atop real horses traveling in a slow, neat circle. The carousel was manned by an attendant that somehow got his shirt sleeve caught in the mechanism that regulates the speed and course at which the horses traveled. He got hopelessly crushed in the gears and died very slowly. This incident was met by total chaos and the screams of dozens of children, and the carousel never again ran. It was reportedly dismantled the same summer. An incident of this nature is bound to cast a gray light on not only any place, but doubly so a resort town built surrounded by the allure that traveling there will extend your life expectancy and cure you of any ailment. With the town infused with the dark flavor of death, the waters felt poisoned. This, in combination with the difficult and arduous trail needed to access the town, especially during the winter, Vishnu Springs began its gradual decline. Later that year, Darius Hicks abandoned the town himself, never to return again, eventually shooting himself in the head in 1908 after a chain of life events that resulted in a break with reality. The management in charge of the resort simply stopped caring, which led to improperly run restaurants, defunct businesses, and a filthy hotel. By the 20s, nearly every business had closed, and the population, both permanent and transient, slowed to a trickle and disappeared. After the fact, there were sporadic attempts to revive the area. In 1935, a man named Ira Post attempted to revive the resort. He decided not to market it as a healing spa, but a picnic and resort area. It had limited success, but in 1950, Post died and his legacy was not maintained. In 1968, a couple tried to market the resort town as a country music venue and restaurant, which was met with swift failure. In 1970, students from Western Illinois University started a commune there. This was the most successful post-resort spa effort to date. The commune was surprisingly self-sustained and contained livestock, copious farming, and music festivals. In the early 1980s, the hotel was once again abandoned. Today, most of the town is completely gone, be it by vandals or the elements. However, the hotel still stands. While it is a shell of what it used to be, It still has a stately way about it, and there are rumors of ghosts. I will not touch on those, so take them as what you will. In 2003, the former resort was donated to Western Illinois University as a wildlife refuge and a place for conservation and research. Visits are encouraged, but visitors are expected to treat the place with respect and to expect a long trek to get there, nearly a mile through dense, dark woods. I'd like to close our story with a rumor. To add a hint of glamour, it is reported that Hicks filled the streams with hundreds of goldfish near the conception of the resort. In the early 1980s, close to the true abandonment of the resort as a business venture, many claimed that they saw the gold flicker of fins just beneath the surface of the water. Maybe it was sunlight, but I choose to believe they were goldfish old and new, surviving alongside the pulse and flux of human presence over the course of 100 years. This has been Unknown America. Thank you for listening. Hali Palombo signing off.